guys, and welcome to another episode of the Los Blancos podcast. Today, we'll be discussing 3 things. One of those things is split up, and yeah, that's it. Let's dive right in. So we're gonna begin at our new signing. Yeah, we've made a signing already. That's David Alaba. Now, this was obviously not in doubt since January. It's always been there. We've always wanted to sign him, and with the added speculation of Varane and Ramos leaving, there will have been increased pressure for us to confirm the deal. But over on Instagram, over on our Twitter, we have communicated that we have signed David Alaba from Bayern Munich on a free transfer. Now, obviously, there are going to be pros and cons for this deal because he's a huge player. He's a brilliant player. He's one of the world's best players. So we're going to start with the pros, and that is his versatility. That's obviously the main thing with David Alaba. He is so versatile. He can play left back, he can play centre back, he can play CDM, centre mid. He can even play cam. This guy is one of the most versatile players ever. And when we're going to talk about next topic, which is going to be managers, we'll see how he fits in with each manager. So, yeah, he's obviously very versatile, but he's also a leader. He's been at Bayern for 10 plus years. How long has it been? Quite a long time, right? And surely when you're in Bayern for that long, you're going to learn how to be a leader. And he has become that. He's become one of the squad team leaders in Bayern, alongside like Thomas Muller, Robert Lewandowski. Those type of players. He's a seasoned professional, right? He knows what to do. He's won, I think it was 20 trophies, which is absolutely insane records for a 28-year-old. He's not even hit his 30th birthday yet. Fun fact: his birthday is very close to mine. Also, so he's gonna hit 29 on the 24th of June. So that's obviously a con. But when it looks like we're set to lose Ramos, which it looks almost definite now. At this point, there's not much to save him anymore at around it. I think it's time up at this point because we're not offering him the 2-year, which has been the problem, clearly been the problem. So, and Varane, there's still time to get that contract on Varane. He's still 28, I think he is. He's still very young. He's been here. It feels like these two have been here forever. Still very young, right? So, yeah, I think Varane and Ramos will be leaving this summer, and one extra transfer we'll be talking about later, which in the quick topic section. Obviously, there's no match previews this week. It's going to be the Euros, and I'm going to be starting uploading loads more quality Euro content. And we need to move on to David Alaba and how good he is. He is one of the best players for Bayern last season, this season as well. It's spoken that Bayern's defence have been very dodgy. It has, of course it has. They haven't had what they needed to have, which was Alphonso Davies covering, which for a very high line you needed Alphonso Davies, which they haven't had. So yeah, Alaba's very quick. That's another big player, and he's very very skilled with the ball at his feet, and obviously he's going to be when he spent 11 plus years at Bayern Munich. So that's fantastic. But now we're going to move on to the cons, and there's obviously only going to be one major problem with the cons, and that's his money. Is how much he's earning per week, and that's I've looked up on some stats for this, and it's insane how much he's earning. He's going to be the third highest earner at Real Madrid, earning £412,000 per week, or euros per week. That is insane. He's only £4,000 behind Sergio Ramos. I mean, Eden Hazard. I don't know how I got those two mixed up. He's higher than Sergio Ramos, and he's a good 200,000 behind Bale. So at this point, it's a risk. We have to hit this one because debts are mounting. They're piling up. We need to hit with this transfer. We really need to hit. If we don't, then it's not looking very good for our finances, is it? We'll be looking to release Bale, I think, because I don't want him anymore. It's 600k per week. Roma reportedly want to sign Eden Hazard, which take him, mate, take him. Maybe if a certain manager comes in, he could get the best out of Hazard, but no, I'm not willing to take that risk anymore. Taking rid of Bale and Hazard, that removes £1 million per week in wages. That is mind-boggling, right? You need to get rid of these two players because they're not contributing anything. Bale's off alone in Spurs, so he's not even contributing anything to us. And Hazard, well, he's just on the injury table, mate. His medical fees are probably worth more than his wages. So, at this point, we need to get it needs to be a new era where we decide that, buying these players are not okay. We need to get youngsters in who are, they're not exactly youngsters in terms of, like, they're not 17, 18, they're not teenagers, right? But they're not exactly in their prime and they haven't finished developing. So instead of signing Eden Hazard, we could sign Mikel Oyarzabal or maybe Emi Buendia. These players who are more 20, 22, 23. Those are the ages I think we need to start looking at. Like with Ronaldo, we signed him at age 24, I think. And he gave us, how many years? So 9 years. Good, it's more than good. World class. GOAT service, right? So we need to be, obviously I'm not saying that Mikel Oyarzabal would be as good as Ronaldo, but that's this type of age range we need to be looking at. And with Alaba, that's not it with the finances. His signing on fee. And that's even worse because instead of giving up a transfer fee, he's almost given a transfer fee in the signing fee because we've paid between 20 to 40 million for his signing fee. That, I'm not one to say that that's terrible, but that is unacceptable. How have Penny Zahavi and Alaba managed to get that out of us? I don't know. But if we manage to hit it, then that's fine. We can pay that off, right? That's all fine. We can deal with that if Alaba hits. If he doesn't, and he's an injury-prone mess, and he's always on the bench, and when he gets onto the field, he's mistakes everywhere. Well, then I don't think our finances will be very good. That's all I'm gonna say. There's not much selling on fee. There's not much after this, for Alaba. Alaba after this, this is probably his last move, to be honest. Of course, you can see like a move to like RB Salzburg or a smaller club, right? But this is his last big move where he's gonna move to like a top side in a top league. That's obvious, yeah. So we need to make sure this hits because there's not going to be any signing on. There's not going to be any sell on value on him, right? This is going to be all that he's worth, right? It's unlike Vinicius, who I've recommended selling in the past because there's always going to be value in him, and PSG have always been interested in him. If we sell him to PSG and get Mbappe in return, who doesn't win? PSG. So, yeah, it's got to happen this summer. We've got to hit our transfers. We've got no space to miss anymore. We haven't had a good transfer since Ferland Mendy and Militao. That's been 2 years now. And even before that, Courtois, one season before, yeah. And then before that, we haven't hit any until like Cruz. We get to Cruz, which is in 2014. So our transfers haven't been particularly amazing, right? So we need to start hitting on our transfers, because any more misses, we're not in any good situations here, right? Let's move on to the next part of the podcast, where we'll be discussing managers and their style of play and compatibility from a guy on Twitter named XLYT. So here we are. Next part of the podcast, we'll be discussing managers. Obviously, thank you, gracias Zizou, which is something hard to say for me because, 2 years he's had nothing but constant, "Oh, you're not good enough, get out," mate. From the media, from us fans, personally, I'll own up to that. I said he better get out after that Okano game. So I understand why he left. It's not easy constantly being shut down by the media, by your own fans, by the board. So he's obviously left. Obviously for him, it's either the Juve job or the France job. Those are the only two I can see. But speaking of the Juve job, last week's candidate, Max Allegri, is off. He's off to Juve, and it's taking them straight back to where he ended up. Juve, idiots. I mean, what was the point of that then? I mean, it's just a bit weird, isn't it? It's just a bit weird. So he said that it's reported that he was just tired of us waiting for something to happen, and he just didn't want to work with that anymore, and he just wanted to accept a job. And Juve came calling. Pirlo's been sacked. Fair enough, to be honest, and Max Allegri's gone. So that's out. The managerial appointments out. So 4 managers remain. There are 4 key managers that could come to Real Madrid, and if we offer them a job, they will accept it, right? So the 4 we have, I will be discussing in a second. Anyway, there was this man on Twitter called XLYT. He calculated, using maths, the compatibility of each manager. Now, here's how it works. So I've given each of these 5 ranking systems a weight. So how much they are in importance. So we've got transferability, style of play, tactical ability, winning mentality, and working with youngsters, right? Those have each been weighted, and then we've given each manager a rating for those out of 100. Now that I use to calculate who's best out of 100. So all these scores I give you right now out of 100. Okay, so we'll start the first, 4th place actually. 4th place was Joachim Löw. I mean, it's going to be obvious because I'm not sure about most of these things. How are you meant to know about transferability when you're the national coach? How are you meant to know about how are you meant to know about winning mentality? Or, it's not particularly easy to decide when you've been a national team manager for 16 years. So that was not so easy to guess. But he has been given a rating of 68.3 out of 100. So it's not particularly bad. The score isn't absolutely bad, right? That's one thing. But then next we have Raul. Now, I previously, before some other candidates came into the mix, I said he was probably the best option at this point. I don't believe that anymore. I've seen this, and I'm not sure how to say most of these because I'm not sure about his tactical ability as a manager. Because not tactical ability. What am I saying? Transfer ability as a manager. So because I'm pretty sure he doesn't do any of the transfers. He just gets he just gets like a load of players, gets told, right, you get promoted with these, you get a bit of money, right? So I'm not sure about Raul in terms of that, but everything else I know about him. Style of play, he's got a good style of play. Tactical ability, he's very tactically versatile. And he's obviously a winner because I think he is a winner because he won a load of trophies at Real Madrid. Working with youngsters, that's obviously going to be very, very high. I've given that a rating of 100, I'm pretty sure. So the working with youngsters, he was given an exceptionally big score, obviously, because he's a fantastic youth coach, isn't he? And he's turned Antonio Blanco from an average player into a potentially good player. He's turned Sergio Arbus into one of the best prospects in our youth academy. Same with Marvin Parr, same with Victor Chus, same with Miguel Gutierrez, same with Hugo Duro, same with Hugo Vallejo. So all these players came through him, and they were average until he came in, and he's elevated them to a different level. Next, after that, we got Poch. Now you might be thinking, oh, Sid, what you on about? He's just taken a job at PSG in January, right? But that's not relevant, right? Recent information has been told us that he's been negotiating with Tottenham for a return. However, I've seen some reports on Twitter from good sources, right? Jose Pedrol, whether he wants to go to Real Madrid. Now, let's be honest, Tottenham is less attractive than Real Madrid at this moment in time. For Poch to go to PSG and then come straight back to Tottenham is just not really realistic, is it? So I think he has to go now, really. Yeah. At this point, I don't think the PSG board 100% behind him for not winning Ligue 1. You know, it wasn't like he was away from it at the start. It was only like 2 or 3 points behind when he was appointed. He remains 2 or 3 points behind. You know, it's not like he could have. He lost against Lille. He lost against a couple of games. He drew. He lost against what was his name? Lorient. You can't do that, mate. You can't do that. So obviously, everything else apart from winning ability, winning mentality, was high for Poch. The winning mentality severely skewed his score, which was 73.5 out of 100. Obviously, that's gonna severely affect your score, isn't it? I mean, it's the most important bit for me. You know, I don't mind style of play as long as we win. I don't care if we play shocking football. We did that under Mourinho, and it wasn't even shocking football under Mourinho. We scored a record amount of goals. So Poch, I'm very willing to accept Poch in Real Madrid. And then the final top ranking, and this manager has got miles ahead of everyone, but I guess you couldn't say he's miles ahead, but it's more that the other three were so close together and he's just like a lot further away. And that's Antonio Conte. Obviously recently resigned as Inter Milan manager after the fact that he has to sell 60 million worth of players. I think it's 60 million worth of players to raise profit after Suning are in debt. So he said, "No, I'm not up for that, mate. You can stay with your Ashley Youngs and Victor." That's the main problem I have with Antonio Conte, is that I just don't like his transfers. I think Antonio Conte, with a director of football, is unbeatable. One of the best. It could be one of the best stewards ever, right? However, I don't think we have a director of football. We have a sporting director in there. What's his name? I forgot his name, mate. Oh god, it's gonna come back to me. Anyway, Conte's gonna have to implement his style, which is not gonna be very easy at Real Madrid. You know, it's not really fitting of his side. Like up front, you don't have two strikers. I'm not sure he's gonna turn Mariano into the next Romelu Lukaku. You know, he could prove me wrong there, but I'm not too sure about that. And I'm not sure what is he gonna do with all our wingers, right? With Hazard, he could move him to Cam. But then what's he going to do to Modric and Kroos? And then wing backs, this has to be an invitation for Lucas Vazquez to stay. I mean, that is a match made in heaven, isn't it? Lucas Vazquez and Antonio Conte. That is a match made in heaven. So I think it's going to be really difficult. I think he can do this, but it's going to take a little bit more than just a couple of wins to win me over with Antonio Conte. Personally, I'll pick Poch over Conte, but if Conte comes in, I'm not complaining, alright? I'm just concerned for Marco Asensio, Vinicius and Rodrigo. Those three could be a selling point for him, and I don't want Ashley Young and Victor Moses to come in for us. I don't want that, and that's just a nightmare, isn't it? It's just a nightmare. So yeah, you tell me, which one would you pick? Oh yeah, by the way, the score for Antonio Conte was 82.6, right, which is 9 ahead of Poch, which shows you how much the compatibility worked. So yeah, we'll be moving on to some quick topics. Okay, so some quick topics. No match preview this week, obviously. There won't be for a couple of weeks now, but it's about transfers, right? And Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, he's one I want. He is one transfer that I would love at Real Madrid. He is a Madrista. He's spoken out many times saying he would love to go to Madrid one day. And I would love to have him here. He is a fantastic footballer and he works perfectly. So, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, one transfer that I really want. Another transfer that I really want is Jules Koundé. Obviously, two centre-backs outgoing this summer. That leaves us with Alaba, Nacho and Militao. Those three very world-class defenders, right? And I'm saying that. But what about Mr. Jules Koundé? That is something that I really want, right? And it's a transfer that reportedly has already started. Yeah, it's already started. We've been very aggressive with this, right? And reports have come out saying that we've begun a transfer negotiation with Sevilla. This is very good because the only team that are pressuring us right now is Man City, and I don't think Jules Koundé is stupid enough to go to Man City when there's Ruben Diaz and John Stones playing to the best of their ability, as well as Aymeric Laporte as backup. I don't think that he's that stupid. So if he goes to Real Madrid, of course he's going to be, switching with Militao. Those two can be deadly partnership at the back. One of the most dangerous partnerships. If Conte comes in, then it's three at the back, and that's lovely stuff, isn't it? Because he is a genuine world-class defender, and I see him becoming one of the best in the coming years. I value him higher than Upamecano. There we go. We've got that in the end. I value him higher than him. So Koundé, he has to come in. I mean, the amount of that he adds, as a centre back in a 3, he just works out perfectly, doesn't it? Because the main problem with Koundé is his height. I think he's 5'10", which is not extremely tall, and is not tall enough for a defender. But in a 3-back, that is covered. Almost, it's covered by the other two. Obviously, David Alaba is also very small, so it's not particularly helpful, but it's fine because Militao's 6'3" or 6'2", I think. So, obviously, with Jules Koundé, that should be happening, right? We should be going aggressive for this one. Aggressive, right? We should be ripping up the ground for this transfer because we started negotiations with him. Let's finish them. Let's bring Koundé. And in a recent interview, I believe he said, maybe it's time to change clubs. I would like to continue my development. My French translation is not very good, but we tried to Google Translate, and I'm pretty sure that's what he said. So, Then after that, we've got obviously Kylian. There's no explanation needed, I don't think, Erling Haaland. But if Conte comes in, Erling Haaland becomes a possibility, doesn't it? Because the two up front, no. The only problem is Haaland doesn't strike me as a person who would work in a two, even though his passing is incredible, isn't it? Maybe you could bring Nicolo Barella as well. Why don't you, Conte? Maybe you could bring my boy, Ashraf Hakimi back. You know, that's something I would love. Ashraf back at Real Madrid, which is, you know, every Madrista's dream. I think every Madrista wants him back. No one wanted to see him leave, but he obviously did. Reguilon, again, no one wanted to see him leave, but he obviously did. Bale, he can get out of the club, but exactly, I don't think Conte's going to be one to want him. Although Conte does want a load of has-beens, so I'm not sure about that. You know, that's one thing I don't like about Conte is that he does seem to cause a ruckus everywhere he goes. You know, at Inter, he started complaining about the transfer policy and there was no transfer. Well, obviously that weren't, because the person that sponsors you has no money. So that's not particularly good, is it? So that's the transfer section over. But last topic we're going to be talking about is there was a fire at the Bernabeu. It looked pretty serious, to be honest, right? The flames go in, and there's smoke up in the air. A lot of smoke, right? A lot of smoke. And there were fire ambulances, police everywhere. You know, let's hope it's not something serious and has affected anyone. Because if it is, there'll be no transfers this summer. Bye! I'm joking, I'm not going to leave you like that. But that is the end of the podcast. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next week or in another video. Bye.